Visualize, Visualizing the evidence from personal sleep boards to infographics. And this was the presentation I had planned to make uh, on the 9th. And my description of my presentation was really a hands-on workshop, was to examine how visuals have changed in classroom teaching and spent time particularly on infographics. And I was going to begin with a turn and talk activity, that is what counts as evidence in everyday life, and then what in classroom teaching. And the purpose of that was to discuss how our culture has become more visual, and that visual ways of thinking and composing are really part of everyday life now. And to do a good job with visuals involves skills with selecting, designing, and displaying data. And this is a great video right here, excellent video about the power of visual imagery. And I won't show it just because of the interest in time. And the theoretical background for my presentation was visual literacy and what's involved in visual literacy, that today's texts are multimodal and visuals are widely used in everyday life, and that visual literacy, this final bullet, is the ability to construct and deconstruct images. And then I was going to talk about infographics. And so infographics are different than photographs, tables, figures. The main difference is that an infographic tells a story, right? So it uses data, it uses tables and figures, but this middle bullet here, it tells a story with that data or evidence, and it does so with visuals, illustrations, and text. And then a key feature of infographics is that the display, the visuals done in a visually appealing way through design and color. So here's this is not the best infographic, but it's one I did probably in about 20 minutes. I used Venn gauge. And I had a class this past fall of secondary teachers and their science teachers. And here's two infographics that they did. And so how do you compose an infographic? You have to think of a single line story. So the teachers I worked with, here's an example. Fracking is dangerous to the environment. The pharmaceutical industry needs restrictions on its profits. So a single line story is what an infographic is supposed to convey. And then the infographic should have some kind of data or evidence, and then again, some appealing design or color. And one of the activities I was going to do in our workshop is look at the closing argument in To Kill a Mockingbird, and then I would ask you to develop an infographic about it. What's your story? What data to use? Or in this case, it was closing evidence that was presented by the defendant's lawyer, and then what's your conclusion? And I was going to have everybody either try just sketching an infographic on a piece of paper. And then here's one I did, because it doesn't look too good here. And so I have pieces of evidence here. My introduction is the alleged crime never took place, and I concluded that Tom Robinson was framed by a racist social codes. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have all the evidence showing that why Tom Robinson was innocent, as presented in the video. So he's right-handed, and the rapist was left-handed, and the accuser was really a victim of poverty and ignorance, and so on. Then I was going to show you how to do an infographic in an easy way, and I like Venngage. They have a free version, and I was going to show that video for about 5 minutes, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then review again how to do an infographic. Again, a single line story, some data in the middle and a conclusion, and appealing color and design. And then I was going to show an infographic about 2016 test results. So this is actually a table, not an infographic. But I'd like you to use this table and construct your own story about test results in New York City. And then what would your storyline? What data did you select from that bar graph? What do you want viewers to remember? And then I was going to show PictoChart. It's another free website. And I was going to have you practice in the same way, compose an infographic, but this time using Super Bowl ad data. And so here's a table, bar graph actually, showing that the number of ads that were shared on the internet. And then so I want you to create a storyline about that. And I think it's a little small here because I don't have it full screen. Doritos was the most shared advertisement during the Super Bowl. And again, we'd review it, the marketing data, what was the storyline, what did you present, what do you want viewers to remember. And then here's some web tools that can be used for infographics. So I have used Venngage successfully. PictoChart I found a little harder, but I know my students liked it. Visually, Infogram, you could actually do PowerPoint too. And there's a hyperlink on how to use PowerPoint. And I think you could use Glogster. I haven't used that in a while, but I think you could compose an infographic with that. And then what's the use of infographics in classroom teaching? I see it as infographics as integrated assignments. They display comprehension, so students can read a text, make an infographic about it, as well as write about it. They can also insert infographics to support opinions and arguments, even to illustrate a story, key points in a story, so it can supplement a narrative. Infographics can be used to teach critical thinking. What are the key points in somebody else's argument? And then I thought we'd conclude that section. And what story will your students tell through infographics? And that was my presentation. And I used this Lindblom article, Composing Infographics, in the English Journal quite a bit. And that was the best of this bibliography about using visuals and infographics. Stop this.